Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really plunging into the world of massive home entertainment. We're focusing on one TV in particular, the Hisense 85E 7InQ Pro. And when I say massive, I mean at 85 inches. That's, what, 215 centimeters? Huge. It promises that private cinema feel right in your living room. But the big question, I guess, is can something that big actually deliver performance to match without, costing an absolute fortune? So our mission here is to unpack a detailed review, really get into what makes this TV tick, and figure out if it's genuinely a shortcut to understanding if this kind of upgrade is right for you.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to look at how Hisense tries to blend that sheer size with some pretty compelling features, and importantly, how it stacks up in terms of value. The idea is to give you a really clear picture, of what this model offers and if it fits those home cinema dreams.
Okay, let's get into it then. This colossal screen, let's start with the visuals. An 85-inch canvas, what's Hisense doing to make that actually, well, shine?
Right. Well, what's interesting is the core tech they're using. It's QLED, so quantum dot LED technology, which is key for the colors. And it's paired with 4K UHD resolution ultra high def, which means you get really sharp details, which is super important on a screen this big, obviously. And the review points out how they manage these really rich, punchy colors that still look kind of natural, not artificial, which can happen. Plus, it's got total HDR support. And that includes Dolby Vision IQ, which is pretty smart.
Dolby Vision IQ, what does that actually do differently? Is it just brighter?
Well, no, it's cleverer than that. It's not just about peak brightness. It actually adapts the picture based on the lighting in your room. So, whether you're watching a dark movie late at night or something bright during the day, it adjusts the contrast and brightness. You get a much better picture overall, whatever the conditions.
Ah, okay. So it's not just big, it's actually quite smart about managing that size visually. But what about action? Fast stuff, sports, video games. Big screens can sometimes struggle there, right? With motion. This is where I get really curious. How does this Hisense handle all that quick movement?
Yeah, that's a really important point. And motion handling seems to be a strong suit for this model, actually. It's got a native 144 hertz refresh rate, native, and it supports VRR, variable refresh rate. Now, that combination, it's basically built for smooth, stutter-free action.
Okay.
So you shouldn't really see visible blurring or jitter during, say, a fast football match or quick cuts in a game. And specifically for gamers, there's game mode PRO. That cuts down input lag significantly so the controls feel really responsive, like instant.
Less delay between button press and action.
Exactly. And it has HDMI 2.1 ports, so it's ready for the latest consoles, PS5, Xbox Series X, to really push those high frame rates and VR. So connecting that back, it makes it a pretty solid choice for both competitive players and just casual gaming fun. It's quite impressive for its price bracket.
That sounds great for the eyes and for your reaction times in games. But what about the ears? Sound often feels like the poor cousin on big TVs, doesn't it? You mentioned Dolby Atmos support, which sounds good on paper. But honestly, for an 85-inch screen aiming for that cinematic vibe, can the built-in speakers really cut it? Or are you basically looking at buying a soundbar straight away?
That's a fair point. And look, let's be real. Built-in TV speakers are, well, they're never going to replace a proper dedicated sound system.
Right.
But Hisense has actually done a surprisingly decent job here. The Dolby Atmos implementation does create a wider, more immersive soundstage than you might expect from just the TV itself.
Okay.
Dialogue clarity is good, which is crucial, and there's enough low-end punch, bass to give action scenes some weight without sounding thin or tinny. So yeah, an audiophile will want more, absolutely, but for everyday viewing, the sound it produces right out of the box is, I'd say, more than adequate. It complements the visuals pretty well. It helps create that integrated cinematic feel they seem to be going for.
Right, so decent enough to get you started, at least.
Yeah.
Okay, we've done the picture, the motion, the sound, sort of sensory stuff. What about the brains? The smart TV side of things. How's the experience there? Browsing apps, finding stuff to watch, is it slick?
Yeah, the smart features are pretty convenient. It comes with Alexa built right in, so you can use voice commands for searching content, controlling the TV, even, managing your smart home devices if you have them. No remote needed for that. The interface itself, it feels intuitive, absolute quickly, which is always good. And yeah, you've got access to all the usual suspects, all the major streaming platforms. Hisense's Vita A platform feels pretty snappy, user-friendly.
Okay, any quirks?
Well, the review mentioned one kind of interesting thing. Because the screen is so big, navigating menus apparently feels a bit less like using a TV and maybe more like interacting with like a giant tablet or even a cinema screen interface. It's not really a negative, just a different sensation because of the sheer scale. Might take a moment to adjust.
Huh, okay. Navigating a menu on an 85-inch screen. I can sort of picture that. So, we've covered a lot of the tech, specs, and features, but let's bring it back to the real world. Someone's thinking about this TV. What does it mean to actually live with something this big? Beyond the tech talk, how does it fit in? What are the practical things to keep in mind? I mean, fitting it through the door might be the first challenge.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and that's the number one practical point. Measure. Measure carefully. An 85-inch TV isn't something you just, casually place in the corner. It dominates the room. It's meant to. But design-wise, it's actually quite sleek, despite the size.
Yeah.
It's got a dark gray finish, slim bezels, looks pretty premium, actually. Keeps the focus on the picture. And the build quality feels solid, stable.
Okay. What about connections and day-to-day use?
Pretty well covered there. Multiple HDMI ports, including those 2.1s we mentioned. It also has a triple tuner, which is handy for getting free-to-air channels without needing an extra box. Just simplifies things. And in daily use, the review really praises how well it handles everything you throw at it, from, native 4K movies looking stunning to gaming feeling responsive. It even does a pretty respectable job upscaling HD content. So your older stuff, Blu-rays or broadcast TV, still looks decent on that massive screen. It doesn't just stretch it out badly.
Okay, so it sounds like if you're really chasing that big wow factor at home, that cinematic hit, but you don't want to totally break the bank on, those ultra-premium OLEDs or something. This Hisense 85E7 NQ Pro seems to make a really strong argument for itself. Massive screen, solid picture, handles motion well, good for gaming, sound is decent, all in a smart package.
Absolutely. I think this deep dive really shows Hisense is seriously competing now. They're offering a lot of performance for the money, and the review definitely concludes that if you have the space, that's the big if you can accommodate it, it makes for a truly superb centerpiece for your home entertainment.
Right. We've gone deep into the features, the performance, the practical side of things. So here's maybe a final thought for you as you're processing all this. We talk a lot about specs, right? Resolution, refresh rates, HDR. But think about the sheer physical scale of an 85-inch screen. Does that massive presence itself change how you feel when watching something? Does it fundamentally shift your engagement with a movie or a game beyond just how sharp or colorful it is? Just something to mull over as you imagine that kind of impact in your own living room.